Alright, family. Let's see if this legitimately works. I see I have some room to grow in the education, so I appreciate your patience with me as I learn this technology. I'm going to wait until I get some feedback to see that this is actually working properly. So let me know if you got audio out there, and for those of you who are watching this afterwards, just skip ahead a little bit. You'll find the jam. Today's conversation is about natto. And patience. Alright guys, how's the audio? It's the video. Seems I had to set up an encoder. As I said in the beginning, I appreciate your patience with me. This is an educational process. I do not eat meat now, no. Nope. Right now I'm cultivating what is considered a ketogenic elemental diet. I would consider it, my ideal is being able to create something that ultimately we could just reset ourselves on, replete the nutrition that we need, and then repopulate our microbiome. That's my current approach. How's the audio, guys? I'm trying some new software to see how well this broadcasts. It's obviously quite a bit of a delay. Slow mode is on. What does that mean? Can you guys hear me? George, I appreciate it. No audio? I need your feedback, bro. Thank you, brother. Okay. Let's just wing it. Let's keep going with it. Guys, I am cultivating a ketogenic diet, elemental diet, living namely off of lipids. And I wanted to share mainly the food that is known as natto. It is a fermented soy product. And I have already put out the challenge that show me some evidence of the negative effects of soy, because there's nothing solid below 5 servings, 7 servings a day. If you're eating a moderate amount of soy, even up to 5 servings a day, there's nothing to worry about. So, in an attempt to come out of my elemental diet, which is living on liquids, namely plant proteins, amino acids, and fatty acids, I just last night took some TVP. Are you guys familiar with that horrible substance? It's considered textured vegetable protein. It's extruded, defatted soy, and it has a bad rap. And I used to not be able to eat it because when I ate it I would get gas. But last night, or yesterday, I took some, soaked it in water and the oils that I eat, and then I inoculated it with natto. Some store-bought natto. I mixed it all together, and I threw it into an incubator. It's probably not necessary, but the higher temperature the better. Not going over 109 degrees Fahrenheit. That seems to be ideal. And I found this this epic study, I'll share in the link below, that when fermented, the soy flour or textured vegetable protein actually increases in amino acid content as well as digestibility, lowers in starch or carb content, because the bacteria produce amino acids. Not only that, but the natto kinase bacteria produces vitamin K2, a very rare and valuable vitamin. Those of you who have studied Dr. Weston Price's work, he traveled around the world, went to different indigenous countries, and took pictures of their face and their teeth. And one of the most valuable elements we've learned from his work for dental health as well as bone health is vitamin K2. It has the ability to direct calcium in the body. So it can also dissolve calcification in the body, calcification in the arteries, in the soft tissues. It can redirect or relocate this calcium. So it's very good for your heart. Arthrosclerosis, I have a hard time pronouncing that one. Buildup of calcium in the arteries. And not only does it produce vitamin K2, it produces an enzyme called natto kinase. And natto kinase also helps dissolve blood clots, helps dissolve scar tissue in the body, helps to break down dead cells. It's kind of like autophagy when you get high levels of circulating enzymes in your body. And so natto kinase is a profound element, also anti-inflammatory, helps with Alzheimer's, because there's some evidence demonstrating that Alzheimer's can be caused by a buildup of dead neurons in the brain. If we don't fall asleep at night or really go into deep sleep and enter into that cleaning mode, or really go long periods of time while fasting, then we don't ever really break down those dead cells or get rid of them if we're not going into autophagy. So they can build up and ultimately lead to things like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. So natto is pretty epic. So in that sense, I thought K2 was non-essential, but it seems that the conversion to K2 from K is not that ideal, and that K2 is a very vital and sought after supplement, at least in my eyes. I can't say that I've really integrated all the research, but from the reading that I've done, especially when it comes to dental health, it's a very valuable tool. It's a very valuable nutrient. So I certainly want it. So that was that's my first attempt at coming out of the elemental diet. I'm doing the almond protocol on a ketogenic vegan elemental diet, and I want to make it into something that other people can actually adhere to, because right now it's definitely more for the hardcore individuals, either going towards elite athletics, hopefully, if I get this really well dialed, or those individuals with really compromised digestive systems or immune systems, making it an extremely easy to digest and absorb nutritional resource. A way to replete the body in nutrition, wipe the slate clear in your digestive tract, and then build up from there. Ultimately, I'm just looking for the most simple way to receive all of the nutrition that I need. And so right now that's about 200 grams of oil, 200 grams of fat, and then I use sunflower lecithin to emulsify it, and I'm around 100 grams of protein. Half of that to 60 grams, 50 to 60 grams being free-form amino acids. Profound enough, when you ferment the soy product with natto kinase, it increases amino acids that I actually supplement. So that's gonna, like phenylalanine, leucine, all of the BCAAs, it increases the protein content by almost 30%. There's only 2 amino acids that are lowered. And the chart demonstrates that the amino acid content is highest at 48 hours. So ultimately this could be turned into something. We ferment TVP. It's a refrigerator or frozen food. So whenever I did ferment it and culture it, I didn't get any gas out of it. It didn't cause any digestive issues. So that's my first step back into food. Worked out great. Yeah, dental health routine. Right now, that's a whole video in itself. I'm diving into another world of enzymes, bromelain in particular. Bromelain and papain can break down biofilms, which is plaque, and dissolve cavities. And so that's the first step for me, is saturating my mouth or using bromelain regularly. And then I'm into it is a nano-sized calcium hydroxyapatite, and that's basically what they use in Japan. Speaking of Japan again, which is where natto is from, they use nano-sized hydroxyapatite like we use fluoride. So it's equally beneficial in building up the enamel of the teeth. So that's my current approach right now, but that's a whole nother world. I basically wanted to jump on here, figure out this technology. Hopefully I'll get this a little bit smoother, and share that idea. It's fascinating that when you ferment these soy products with natto kinase, the bacteria is called Bacillus subtilis. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. It actually increases the digestibility and the absorption and the protein content. It breaks down the proteins into peptides. And not only that, I'm putting my fatty acids in there. I'm pressing hemp seed oil, chia seed oil, putting that into the ferment as well. And Bacillus subtilis digests these fatty acids into shorter chain fatty acids. I've only looked into 3 of them, and one of them is actually a precursor to growth hormone, so I thought that was pretty interesting. Another one I saw assists in deep sleep. So it's really just the best pre-sleep food of all time, pretty much. So that's what I'm thinking. And it was freaking delicious. Coral, coconut oil. Yeah, you gotta be careful with the particle size of what you do brush your teeth with and how hard it is, the density. You don't really want to scrape off your enamel, so to speak. That's why I like using bromelain regularly, because it has a dissolving action. It's not abrasive. It breaks the bonds of the polysaccharide goo that is biofilm. It's like proteins and polysaccharides, I believe. And oil pulling for sure. All around good nutrition, mineralization. Okay. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate you sticking around. If there are any more questions, throw them out now. Like I said, I appreciate your patience sticking through with me on this, figuring out how the live stream technology works. Feeling so much better, by the way. If you've been watching my videos, about a week ago I dropped back into going more keto. I dropped the carbs out. I'm going to bring them back in whenever I like really feel that that tired. That I felt it before. If I train a lot and don't eat any carbs, I will definitely get like that flatter vibe. Like I won't have any kind of glycogen, basically. You're so low on glycogen and water, because glucose holds water into your muscles. So if I'm training really high intensity consistently, then I start dosing some glucose in the evening. Cool. Yeah, thank you, Christopher. I appreciate that. I guess like an hour out, huh? Maybe like an hour heads up. Like I said, I'm new to the technology, so cultivating that skill. I appreciate all insights into how to improve this channel. I appreciate all support, all ideas, as well as supportive studies or challenging studies. Things that challenge my perspective or ideas. I love bringing those to the forefront. That's why I like bringing up the soy controversy, because nobody can produce any solid evidence on it. Especially fermented soy. So find an organic, non-GMO source of soy. See if you can ferment it with natto. Add a bunch of spices, some salt, some oil. Freaking delicious. It's so good. All right. Appreciate it, brother. Yeah, appreciate you tuning in, man. I appreciate the feedback and the conversation. It really helps, guys. I missed this one. I'm sorry, Gabby. I'm definitely still following the Amen protocol. If you've been following me, you'd see that 3 or 4 months or so ago, I fell off in the sense that I hit a wall and ultimately ended up with a mineral deficiency. And it took me a couple months to figure out what it was. Potassium, potentially other elements like iron and copper. So I dove way into the mineral research and created a blend, a balanced mineral blend that I now dose all my water with. And after I started getting that, it started coming back, and thank God. So I'm about 10 days in to like really feeling good again, feeling more like myself, and actually having the energy to go train. So the most fundamental ground there, right? You think of the ground, that's the earth, that's our minerals, that's our electrolytes, that's how we send energy and communicate throughout the body. So that was an educational experience for me. So during that period, there were multiple days that I broke my fast at 2 or 4 o'clock and ate more, because I was attempting to really just figure out what was causing me this extreme fatigue as well as swelling. I got a blood test and everything. So that's been quite the relief, and ever since I have been repleting and staying consistent on the minerals, I'm still heading up. I know I'm heading up, and I believe this mineral depletion is something I've been dealing with for a long time. When you learn about how much potassium you need, it's the most important mineral in the sense of quantity of all of the minerals. And when you see how much you need, and you see all the ways that you lose it, and then you see how much you get a day, I can see why I was deficient. I sweat 3 or 4 times a day, working on the farm, getting in the sauna, training twice a day. I lose a lot of electrolytes that way, and I never fully really repleted them. And so I'm excited for where I'm heading, in the sense that I believe I'm going to replete something that I've been dealing with for a long time. So new levels of vibrancy and health that are heading my way. Super stoked on it. Where do I stand on the high-fat diet versus heart disease debate? It's not a debate in my eyes. I haven't seen any solid science on that. The best science they have are giant observational studies where they're like, oh, this population eats this much fat. But that fat is often, or especially saturated fat in particular, is often paired in some kind of a processed food. So it's no real, clear, direct, isolated study on how the fat itself affects heart disease. But when isolated, when you see these individuals who get on ketogenic diets and drop the processed carbohydrates, drop the carbohydrates in general, they're not coming through with heart disease. Fatty liver issues are actually more frequently caused by high carbohydrate diets. So I believe the heart disease sign and scene is much the same. The omega-3 fat ratio. I am very fascinated and interested in the ratio of fatty acids. And that's one of the things I'm experimenting with. The research that I've seen is namely in the world of reproduction, because that's where you get a lot of these research. You have these people who are farming animals. They want to figure out how to create the healthiest animals, the fastest growing animals, and the animals that have the most offspring. So these are some of the best studies that I have to go off of right now for my experiments. And from that and through that, I've seen that the ratio of having more omega-3 compared to omega-6 is actually more beneficial. That specific ratio is 1.5. So 1.5 grams, or you could say 3 grams of ALA, which is what I'm using. It's the plant-sourced omega-3, to 2 grams of LA, or linoleic acid. So that's my stance on it right now. I basically try and get those as high as possible, and the seeds that I'm pressing and using for oils are hemp seed, chia seed, flax seed, and pumpkin seed. So along with that, I'm going to get a lot of oleic acid as well, stearic acid, stearidonic acid. I get those confused. There's a lot of variety there, but I'm namely going after the ALA, is my current theory as to what is the most valuable fatty acid. It's anti-inflammatory. It's actually the most slimming. If you're looking for weight loss, ALA triggers the body in some way to not produce more fat, to not store more fat, and also to burn more fat. Out of all of the fatty acids tested, I saw one study that did isolate them individually. That led to a leaner body weight and less stored fat in the liver. So I thought that was pretty interesting. It's also anti-inflammatory. It's a very transmutable energy source in the sense that it is easily converted into ketones. They did one study on ALA in rodents where they basically attach radioactive isotopes to the fatty acids. They feed them to the rats, and then they can track where those fats end up in the body. ALA goes to the skin, to the brain, to the heart, and to the sexual organs. So that's pretty epic. I know that it increases the amount of beta-hydroxybutyrate or ketones better than any other fatty acid, and I've experienced that in my own research, in my own trials, because I ended up getting my ketones to like dangerously high levels pretty rapidly by having a diet really high in chia seed oil, basically. That's what I was doing. So I keep it a little more balanced now. Yeah. So understand what I'm doing will eventually evolve into a diet. Right now I'm really stepping back just to understand the foundations and fundamentals of the elements that make up our bodies, and ultimately create something that could be used to replete and help regenerate individuals who are depleted and have difficulty digesting, and to build up that health and vitality from there. And then I'm going to develop a process of how to come out of it into food, into the proper food, starting with prebiotics, probiotics. Is how I imagine it's going to look. Really easily digestible sources of nutrition. I've just personally gotten to the point where I don't need that much to eat. I don't crave it that much. That's another thing I have to say. Ketogenic diet. When you're trying to fast all day, doing the Amen protocol, 23 hours a day, you don't eat every day. Now, figuring out how to make that easier has been a hell of a trial, or was a hell of a trial, I should say. But guaranteed, if you put 200 grams of fat in your body the day before, the evening before, you won't be hungry. You're just not. It satiates you to the nth degree. I'm also consuming higher amounts of protein, low methionine, and these elements saturate and satiate me to the highest. So that's my current approach right now. Yeah! Dude, is your name Taro? Bro, excellent name. Hold on, I skipped one. Something like stored fat where it needs sugar to put the plaque there. No, I think that plaque is... That's a tough one. I think it's for instance, it's like a buildup. I'm not sure. I'm not really well educated on that, in all truth. A collection or buildup of cholesterol, bad cholesterol, a collection or buildup of calcium in the arteries, which natto, what I shared with earlier, is really helpful for. So that could be one of the reasons, is like a lack of vitamin K2 or an imbalance between calcium and phosphorus could lead to the calcification of the arteries and heart disease. I know there are many causes, but that's about one of the only ones I know of. Do you use powdered natto starter? I have tried that. It does work. I just started getting into making it. Awesome. Excellent. Taro. Man, the fact you got the name Taro, dude, you're the best. I make kalo bread. I don't know if you're really familiar with poi. Whenever I get back on the carbs, that's one of the first foods I'll hit. I just use the leftover. Yeah, same here, brother. And you can just take the end of one batch and turn it into the next one and just have a perpetual natto fermentation. In this study, it took 48 hours. 48 hours of fermentation at 109 degrees Fahrenheit to increase the fatty acids to that degree. So that was the optimal time and temperature. So keep that in mind. Maybe make multiple batches over a long period of time. Solomon, what up, brother? Dude, dope. You guys got the best names of all time. Appreciate you too, brother. Thank you, man. It's a great world to be in together, huh? You got a good team. You mentioned you eat a lot of oil, vegetable oil. That would be quite a bad ratio. Nah, besides that, all the plant-based doctors recommend to avoid. They do. Here's some of the main reasons they say avoid vegetable oil. Oxidation. High omega-6 linoleic acid, which really most of the inflammatory dogma we have against omega-6 is arachidonic acid. I don't know how to pronounce it. That's the omega-6 you get from animal products, from animal fat. Linoleic acid, the essential omega acid found in plant oils, can be internally converted into AA, or arachidonic acid. Arachidonic acid. I'm going to have to get these pronunciations right. So that's the most inflammatory fatty acid. It also has beneficial effects, like inflammation is not something you want to get completely rid of. It's a balance you need to play with. But so the omega-6, the high omega-6 content is another reason people are often afraid of it. So understand this, oxidation is not an issue to me because I buy fresh seeds and I bought an oil press. Bought it for like $300 like 2 years ago to press my own oil because I wanted to use oil as my main source of fuel. Because once you get all of your nutrition in your elixir, the question becomes, what's your source of energy? Carbohydrate or fat? And just to simplify things and enjoy the experiment, I broke it down into pure oils. And so I have an oil press that is a cold press, so it doesn't oxidize or overheat the oils. And then I can find the ratios that I like. I'm using hemp seed. I'm using chia seed, flax, and pumpkin. These are really high in minerals, particularly pumpkin has an excellent mineral balance. And so the oil I'm consuming is a crude oil. It's thicker, right? It's darker because there's still elements of the seed in there that haven't been strained out. And so there's amino acids, there's minerals and vitamins, vitamin E, vitamin A, like I said, amino acids, and I can kind of play with the ratio of omega-3 to omega-6 that way. So that's where I'm at on the fatty acid consumption. Technology trial. Let me see if I can watch myself. See if I can watch the comments through my phone. God says no. Put these pieces together, my friend. So yeah, that's about where I'm at. I really appreciate the questions and the comments. Let me know how I can make this channel better. I'm here to really start putting a lot more energy and effort into this and sharing more. Follow me on Instagram if you're looking for more ways to connect. I share experiments and information and philosophy more spontaneously there through my stories, through my posts. and I'm trying to do more consistent live streams there as well. Yeah, appreciate it, brother. Thank you. Thank you, Lynn. Thank you, Christopher. Thoughts on fruit-based diet? Here's about where I stand. Measurable metrics I appreciate. I got to the level, I tried every diet that I possibly could, and it just got to the point where I had to break everything down into what it's composed of and measure it and see if I'm missing anything, because there are many necessary required nutrients that we need to operate this body optimally. There is excellent technology that could be better, but it's good. The application Chronometer, or the website Chronometer, Chronometer, throw all your foods in there, what you're eating, and look at the nutritional profile that comes out. So say you're trying to eat just fruit. Here's one thing when it comes to muscle protein synthesis in particular. If you're going to try and fast all day, which I'm interested in, fasting has by far been the most beneficial practice of any lifestyle. Fasting with adequate nutrition. Fasting with complete nutrition is the best method. I don't care what your diet is. I really don't. That right there is the epitome of the most solid practice that I recommend, that I've seen work the most for people. Getting your complete nutrition is another story. That's a difficult aspect. The fasting, though, is just key. So say you're trying to do it on the fruit-based diet, or even if you're not, when you're spreading your food throughout the day, when it comes to triggering muscle protein synthesis, for instance, you need a certain amount of amino acids at one time. So that's why they've shown whey protein spikes muscle protein synthesis more profoundly than soy protein, because whey protein has higher branched chain amino acids, particularly L-leucine, and it also digests a little bit more rapidly, or has a higher protein content per gram. So you get enough leucine, because leucine is really one of the main triggers for anabolism. You get enough leucine in one dose to trigger muscle protein synthesis. But if you were to take bromelain with soy protein, or take more soy protein, like say 30-40 grams, you will get that dose-dependent response that you get out of whey at a lower dosage, because the bromelain enzyme helps to break down the protein into amino acids more rapidly, giving you that spike of L-leucine and triggering anabolism, triggering muscle protein synthesis and muscle growth. So that's why I'm actually really into plant peptides. I'm trying to find a way to source them. Or enzymes, taking enzymes with your proteins, like bromelain or papain, are two excellent proteolytic plant enzymes. You can take them with your plant-based protein, and it'll accelerate the breakdown of those proteins and boost the effect. So that's the problem with fruit-based diet. You're just gonna have to. It's so much water content. You'll get a lot of vitamins. There's some minerals that might be hard to get a hold of. Some things like vitamin K2. It's just more difficult. It's isolated. And I don't find sugars ideal. For me in particular, fat kills the cravings, makes fasting easier, boosts ketone production. It's just, that's where I stand right now. But my stance that's even more foundational than that is that everybody find what works for them. So ultimately you have to experience and experiment. But that is my current stance on the subject. Have I ever tried L-tyrosine or 5-HTP with your protocol? Keep your brain. Yeah, 5-HTP. I used to take that back when my mom thought I was depressed when I was like 16. I probably was. Doing too many drugs. That's a precursor to serotonin. And as for L-tyrosine, interestingly enough, when you ferment the soy product with natto, it boosts the L-tyrosine content. Let me look. I can look it up right now. L-tyrosine, 69%. So out of 100 grams of soy flour, there's 3.7 grams of tyrosine. Right after you ferment it, there's 6.3. So, and that is just across the board. There's only 2 amino acids that it doesn't boost. And so many of the amino acids that Amin-Ra uses in his amino acid blend get boosted when you ferment it with natto. How epic is that? So tyrosine, 5-HTP, boosting cognitive function. Good fats. The brain is made up mainly of fat. When you put more of the precursor of ALA into your diet, you will increase the amount of EPA, the amount of DHA in your body as well, gradually over time. Now the conversion rate to that is under a lot of debate. It depends on your genetics. So conversion rate of ALA, the omega-3 plant-based fatty acid, into EPA and then further into DPA and then DHA has a lot of variables as to how good you are at doing that. But I've seen enough evidence to know that there is a good enough percentage increase, even at the low end, that if somebody like me is taking 65 grams of ALA a day, that I'm going to have a pretty high conversion rate, I imagine. Even so, if not, I also supplement DHA. I've shared that product, that protocol that my friends have created, that has a blend of DHA from algae source and astaxanthin, which is one of the most potent antioxidants that it's found in krill oil with DHA. It's that red pigment that protects the DHA from oxidation. That product is epic. That's quite a combination. So if you're really looking to boost that amount of DHA in your body more quickly than you would from chronic consumption of high ALA over years, check out Symbiotic. I'll put a link below. I also have a code for that, saving 15% off of it, I believe. So that's one of the main cognitive boosters that I know of, because lowering your inflammation makes you more relaxed, makes you more clear, makes you more aware, helps you to heal and regenerate faster, and ultimately just getting better sleep, which is another thing I notice when I cut the carbs out. I start being able to wake up earlier. Granted, when you're in transition, going into keto, you have to master your minerals and understand that your sleep may be thrown off a little bit in the beginning. That's what I've noticed after multiple times of transitioning. But ultimately, you just end up in a situation where you don't have to sleep as much. That meditation, conscious concentration exercises, developing your focus, exercise, all of these things build and develop cognitive function. Coffee even stimulates cognitive function, blended with L-theanine. I love that blend. I've taken all sorts of nootropics. I'm really just working on simplifying things right now. I got way spread out into different supplements and missed my basics completely. Fell off because of one of the most fundamental minerals. So I'm really all about dropping way back into the fundamentals. What are the most necessary elements for health? Let's get those things dialed in a really simple, easy way to know that we're maintaining at least the RDA, and then add, sprinkle the spice on top of that, but building that foundation solid first. So yeah, if you want to dose L-tyrosine, I'm into taurine. That's one that's not in natto that I do supplement. I put in my amino acid blend. Yeah. Kino, you gotta get the natto for shizzle. It's ridiculous. It's a little weird at first, okay? It creates this mucilaginous kind of goo, but once you get over that, it's pretty epic. Super epic. Get the right spices in there. Jeez, dinner's gonna be awesome. Can I simply add bromelain to soy protein powder? Yes, is the answer. Yes, you can. It'll work the magic in your digestive tract. Throw it up in a smoothie maybe, shake it up or something, drink it, and demonstrated solid studies. Now these guys were taking pretty high doses of bromelain, like basically equates to a teaspoon, but it depends on the potency of the bromelain you get. You can buy bulk in Amazon. I've got that listed on my Amazon list under elixir ingredients, and you can take a teaspoon of that. It's roughly 5 grams. Awesome studies demonstrating that 2 grams boosted muscle protein synthesis like 100%, and then 5 grams went to like 150 or 160%. The increase from that is profound, really, just adding enzymes to your protein. Pretty fascinating. Also, bromelain, you could throw it in your drinking water. It's relatively stable for like 12 hours. Drinking it regularly, slushing in your mouth, it'll help break down the plaque on your teeth. And when you drink enough, it becomes systemic, and it goes throughout your body, breaking down scar tissue. It basically acts like autophagy. It dissolves dead cells. It dissolves dead proteins. So that's something really worth saturating yourself in. I found a source off of eBay as well that's like super high potency, at least how they demonstrate, or at least how they advertise it on eBay. So I'm going to try that one and compare it to the one that I got from Star West. Star West Botanical is the one that I got there. They sell it by the pound. I think it's like 40 bucks. Lasts me forever. So I've appreciated that one. Tony Wright. I can't say that I am, my friend. Frugivore species. No, I just totally disagree with that. Just from what I've seen, we're more closely related to carnivores, I think. And I know that's I don't want to get into the religious debate. People just get so freaking heated. I'm honestly not interested in going too far into the debate of like back into the past or how our ancestors used to live. But even so, based on that, we just run better on fat. Do you know that carbohydrates are the only unnecessary macronutrient? You don't need carbohydrates to live. Our body stores our energy as fat, and fat is twice as rich as energy nearly, or actually more than twice. You get roughly 4 grams or 4 calories per gram of carbohydrate when you get 8.8 to 9 for a gram of fat. It's like condensed energy. Interestingly enough, the fossil fuels that we're running on are actually stored lipids of our ancestors, of animals, of plants, of algae. They store energy. I'm not sure about the plants on this part, but of algae, of animals, they store energy as lipids. And so these lipids are basically what crude oil is. Fascinating enough. So not only does our body prefer fat in the sense that that's how we store most of our energy, we have carbohydrates for explosive energy. So that's why I do choose to supplement easily absorbable sugars to the right amount, around 100 grams normally when I'm training a lot, because it'll just replenish my glycogen, but I can stay in that ketotic state, which I just get so many benefits from. So that's my current approach. Yeah, but more power to you if you can eat fruit all day. I've seen people that definitely are healthy. Not many people really stacking on mass. Not a lot of protein there. Tempeh. I've tried tempeh. It'd be interesting to mix those cultures. There's another culture that is in the family of tempeh, and it's actually orange. It produces, I believe, lycopene from a mold. And so it's this cool orange tempeh that originated in Indonesia. I wanted to try and get some of that. It'd be cool just to mix all these things together. And ultimately, culturing your food with medicinal mushrooms. That's something I want to get into. Stone Age diet. Yeah, it's just been a trip. Like, so many people, that's what I'm saying, is like, if you look at these past few major dietary trends, like, they get big because people are like, whoa, I don't feel like crap anymore, I don't have digestive issues, I don't have chronic fatigue, I'm sleeping better. Paleo, then you got keto, Then you got carnivore. We got this kind of progressive movement towards lower carbohydrates. And me and myself, I've recognized that I do better on lower carbs. It's just how it is. I think ultimately, I'll just have like some poi toast, a little bit of poi toast at dinner. Poi is a root vegetable. So every once in a while I'll just add some carbs and call it a day. Cool, yeah, I'll definitely check them out, man. I appreciate that. I like to share this as well. If you want to be a good scientist and really find the truth, if you find that you hold a belief in a certain direction, challenge yourself to prove yourself wrong. Dig into the opposing argument and know it back to front. Really try and prove yourself wrong. And be open to being around people who disagree and will challenge you. And just be patient and sit there and talk story. Don't get all offended. Let's just listen and hear each other out, right? Don't attach to a dietary ideal. That's one of the most dangerous things, is we become identified like, I'm a frugivore or I'm a vegan. Like, I can't imagine how many vegans just had this hard difficulty before they switched into carnivore. I still don't recommend it because I don't know, I think I can create something more ideal. I enjoy that challenge, but it's really helped a lot of people out, and I don't have anything against them for doing that. We're all just learning here. So I think it's dangerous to get attached to an ideal, to identify with some kind of diet, to identify with anything other than the awareness that we are. That's where the peace is actually identifying with the right aspect of ourselves, not our character, not our diet or how we stand in the world is that, but the true nature of ourselves. And the more clear and healthy we get, the more aware we become of what that is. The more clearly we can express and experience that. That's why I love health so much. That's why I love learning how to dial in this body and this mind, because you enter that state of grace, of flow with life, with spirit, where you're in this knowing, where you're in this ease of operating that just unfolds the story in such a beautiful way. It's mind-blowing. It's life, living life, right? You can get past the, what do I do with this thing? And you got that, check. Go live, go experience. Get into the joy, into the fun, into the movement, into the dance, into the singing, into the art, into the travel, right? We don't need to get too hung up on this. That's why I'm really trying to simplify this, and hopefully it'll be a gift that can contribute to others. Cool. Yeah, thank you, brother. I hope it will too. I hope this will be available later. I'm still learning how to use this technology. I had to download some kind of a encoder, so I'm getting hip. Just for you guys, because I love you guys. And that sucks for you being on a tropical... Dude, Christopher, so funny how many people get like, dude, you literally work on a farm. There's like probably 30 different kinds of fruit trees here, and I don't eat them. And that drives people crazy. But it's like, I've been here on an island for 9, almost 10 years. I've saturated myself in these things. I've tried to live solely off of them. I've tried that. I tried the all fruit. Just didn't work for me. And I know all of the fruits to their depths. I know them very intimately because I've saturated myself in their deliciousness. So yeah, it's an excellent joke, and I get it. If durian was here more regularly, I'd have a bigger problem, that's for sure. I'd like to look into the fatty acid ratio of durian, as well as the type of sugar. Could be the perfect food. In which case, I'd totally become a fruitarian. No problem. Trendy diets have a big theme in that they do the opposite of what they've been doing beforehand. Excellent point, my friend. Dude, yes. You know what's a big key that I witnessed? Thank you, Kino. Excellent observation. A big key that I've been witnessing is that the opposite is the truth. Not to get too offensive to some people, but the best place to hide the devil is in the church. And the devil is probably your best friend. If you know that resistance and trial and difficulty and challenge is what makes you grow, right? You couldn't build a body and have muscle or even feel anything if you didn't have contrast and resistance. So so often those things that we think are bad become the best things. And that's why I love the almond raw diet, because now I'm eating soy all the time. I used to think that was the devil. I'm eating high fat. Oh, that's not almond diet. He's into the carbs, but I'm eating high fat, and I used to think that was bad. I'm fasting chronically all day. I didn't think that was even possible. So, what else was I into? Oh yeah, whenever I do put carbs into my food, I put pure dextrose. That's corn sugar. It's organic, and it's pure glucose. Glucose preferentially gets directed to the muscles. So if I'm trying to replete my body in glucose, I can kind of avoid repleting my liver, which will help me to stay in ketosis or get back there more rapidly, and more rapidly replete my muscle glycogen if I use pure glucose. Foods that are higher in glucose than fructose are like tubers, purple sweet potato in particular. So that's eating soy and corn sugar, man. If you knew me in my past, like I've lived on sprouts, raw vegan, fruit juicing, 43-day fast on juice, 28-day fast on coconut water, detox cleanse, herbs, parasite cleanse, ozone therapy, frequency therapy, like hardcore organic, and then now I'm eating soy and corn sugar. That's why you don't attach to things, man. Just if the science is solid and I really dive into it and look at it myself, then I'll try it. I'll try it. I'll do it for you guys. I'll be the lab rat. Totally into it. I find it so much fun, and the payoff is like pure joy. Like before I crashed because of my mineral content, I had stacked on 8 pounds of muscle, fasting 23 hours a day, calorically restricted to 1,800 calories. Right? Doesn't that like break every law that I believed in before? And I was able to lift 405 pound hex bar squat. So that was almost 3 times my weight, right there on the edge. So before I crashed, and that was the gift of trying new things. That's what I got. And now I had new things to learn. I had to learn about minerals again. Really kill for a tree-ripe and organic tropical fruit. What kind of fruit, Christopher? Germany. I'll throw one in a box and send it to you, man. Even though they'll probably try to sue me. The feds will go after your ass for shipping live fruit. Not feds, but what is it? The USDA. What do we got? Pears. Yeah, you got the northern fruit, man. There's gold in the north. You guys got like more berries and things like that. I think the food that grows in the cold, like, there's something gold there. There really is. So I'd be more into that. Getting healthier to feel good, and then it helps on the spiritual path to awaken. Uh-oh. I did a Vipassana retreat where the meals are extremely glycemic. Now I eat very high fat. And did it cut your comment off? Or you're just stating that you're the opposite? Vipassana. Isn't it? I was in Vipassana. I did a Vipassana as well. Profound. I did it after that 28-day coconut cleanse with ozone therapy and sauna and all that jazz. And then I went into a temple. And then in there I was just eating whole foods. My teacher was just bringing me food, so I didn't eat the temple food. He was bringing me like, what were the main things I was eating? Like red bell peppers, whole vegetables and fruits, cucumbers, apples, dragon fruit, things like that. And so in Vipassana meditation, for those of you that don't know, you eat at like 6:30, or at least the one I did, you eat at 6:30 in the morning and then 11:30 in the morning. And you don't eat all day. So they do intermittent fasting to a degree. And I know when I was in the Vipassana, I was like, man, if I could do this, but then intermittently train Kung Fu and eat the best food on the planet, that's what I want to do. So if you guys know where we can start that place, let's do that. Let's do that thing. Because the meditation is profound. That's really where it's all at. All of this is just for the meditation. All of yoga, all of Ayurveda, all of asana, all of pranayama is just for the meditation. How long do you dry fast for everything? I don't dry fast. I'm not into dry fasting. I haven't seen anything that makes me believe that's a better way. I have done it for 48 hours. Just not into it. Water is life. You need water to circulate things, to remove those toxins. And I understand that, you know, you can turn fat into, I guess you're getting ketones and then water molecules by burning your fat. Perhaps the glucose, is that what it is? But I don't have that problem because I fast chronically anyways. So I'm not looking to dry my body out, man. I love hydration, especially after I just went through that whole electrolyte scene. You know, I'm all about hydration. But, you know, I respect every path that everybody takes. We all got to do what we need to. Yeah, Cynthia. Interesting. I don't know. All I'm saying is that Satan made Eve eat an apple. Okay? That's what I'm saying. I'm just kidding. Yeah, I love jokes. Hope you guys love my sarcasm. Go on my Instagram. There's a lot more humor involved there. This is more serious education. I try to. But that being said, Cynthia was sharing that maybe this high carb is not as conducive to spiritual growth. You know, I believe ultimately you could eat dirt probably and get enlightened, but there are things that help. And for me personally as well, if I eat high fat, I get a more streamlined, calm, free-flowing state of energy that just lasts. And it's not as fluctuating as I get on the carbohydrates. So different people's genetics are predisposed to be able to handle things differently. So find what works for you. But for me, after trying both of them, you don't know if you haven't tried them both. And if you haven't tried them for a long period of time, like 3 months at least, then you don't know. And for me, the fats just calm me down, relax me, and bring more clarity and just peace of mind. I sleep better. It's a good deal. Oh, and my skin. I want to make a whole video on that. Out of all the things that I've tried to clear and clean up my skin, I used to have freaking acne that just pissed me off. And even after being on the all-in protocol for 3 months, I still had some bumps. I'd have them on my shoulders. I still had some skin issues. Like that red, you know, whether it's rosacea or psoriasis, it's a heat condition, they would say in Chinese medicine. It's like a yang, fiery, either damp heat or dry heat condition. And the carbohydrates just fuel that kind of stuff. And even after 3 months of fasting all day and then eating, I wasn't calorically restricting then, I still had some acne. But going keto for about a month, smoothest skin I've ever had. But it's not as easy as just like, oh, just live on avocados, because you got to find a balance of the right types of fatty acids and protein and all that jazz. It's an education. Cool, we almost hit an hour, guys. I'm going to try and do this Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So all of the comments, questions that you post afterwards, or people who see this after the broadcast, if you put a question, I'll try and just have all those and just hammer them out. And let's see how perhaps lives go question to question. And then every once in a while I'll have an isolated topic video that I just post. But it's been a sincere joy. I really appreciate connecting with you guys and all that you share. I love the questions and just getting to talk story on all this. Life is a fascinating thing. One more from Cynthia. I've fared better. 10-day water fast instead of eating. The Vipassana diet, yeah, no doubt. Super catabolic those 10 days. Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. You know what's funny is, yeah, sugar. So say you want to fast, eat lower calorie, and preserve your muscle mass. Either higher fat or higher protein. Higher carb diets will lead to more muscle wasting. Ketogenic diet preserves lean muscle tissue. So I'm going to throw that other statement out there at the end. Awesome. Much appreciation, guys. Like I said, I'll try and get this technology on lock and just keep sharing. Much appreciation. If you have not subscribed, if you have not liked, if you have not hit the notification button, do it now, my friend, and all of the best things of all time will ever happen, all at the same time, simultaneously. Right now, give it a try. Come on, do the thing, do it. and anything you would like me to dive more into, any information, let's share it. I would like this ultimately to become a forum where we can test things out. I'd like to go through different elements and supplements individually and find the best one, and ultimately we can co-create an ideal elemental diet, lifestyle practice, approach to personal freedom and liberation. Awesome, my friends. Lots of love, and until next time, aloha.